give you all the glory. Oh, be lifted above all the gods. We lay our crowns and worship. Oh, glorious God, we praise your name. We lay our crown and worship you. Oh, glorious God, we praise your name. We lay, Father, we bow before the throne. Adios. For you.
Good evening, friends. Good evening, and welcome to Something in Need for You. Good evening. Welcome to Something in Need for You tonight. Something in Need for You. Just a second. Something in Need for You tonight. Something in Need for You. Just a second. Something in Need for You tonight. Let me welcome you to our Monday broadcast on Something in Need for You. Wherever you are in any part of the world, just try to subscribe on Impact Royal TV. This program comes your way every Monday at the hour of comes your way at the hour of 7. Just to provoke us, challenge, encourage, and thereafter you pick what you really want to pick out of it, that you can make a better life of. I want to say this to someone tonight, that I do not come from the perspective of knowledge, that I have I know it all. No, far from it. Well, I'm coming to you as a way of challenging you, provoking you as well, so that you can look at things from a different perspective. Perhaps you'll be able to pick something out that may challenge you or provoke you and make you to rethink. And that's why I'm calling tonight broadcast reflection time. You see, life can be overwhelming, particularly this season that we're in. A season of inflation, increase in prices of fuel, food, utilities. As a matter of fact, everything, whatever you may likely think of, is all gone up. And salary is not correspondingly increased to measure up to the standard of inflation. So things are pretty difficult. That's a difficult moment that we are in. I acknowledge that. Because when you are responsible for mortgage, rent, payment, you need to pay your bills, put food on the table for your family, shelter over their head. And as I've said, that there's escalating bills, food and fuel expenses. University fees also is gone up. And in the middle of all that, you still have to face the reality of life, preparing for your retirement. Preparing for your retirement. And I want you to know this, friends, that you cannot run away from your retirement. Sometimes we tend to procrastinate, thinking that the things will continue to go on the way it is until when we get older, before the reality will now start to sink in. But the elder says that morning shows the day. Whatever you want to be, you need to start now. How you're going to enjoy your old age. Gone are the days when our parents look at us as their own pension scheme. Because we have it in us. Our generation have it in us, the spirit of care. We are the generation that cares for our parents, cares for our children, but we're the generation that I seriously feel for. I seriously feel for my generation. Because we labor for our parents, we look after them, we look after our children, because we want to give them a better life than we had. But in the middle of all that, we tend to forget ourselves. We tend to forget ourselves. All the focus is primarily on what you can do for everyone all around you to make their life better. And you'll be saddled with this serious responsibility, coupled with the economic issues as well. And the pressure is greater. Because you carry the burden of everyone all around you. Your expectation is the fact that, okay, if I do all this, I water my ground, then when my children get older, when I'm no longer able to walk, my children will take care of me. Uncle, the first mistake is for you to assume that your children are going to take care of you. Don't forget, time and tide, things changing. If anyone have said to you that, the world was going to go through what we went through during the lockdown, the COVID period, you will have argued that is impossible. How can they lock down the entire world for a period of time? So you need to understand that this is the time that you need to start to think about your retirement. I'm talking to my generation tonight. If you leave your retirement, your life in the hands of other people, you will struggle, you will suffer. And that's why you see in today's world that so many of the top artists, legendary people that you look up to, men, in their old age, they have nothing to fall back on. Not that they do not have children, not that they spend their money foolishly or lavishly, but the thing is, they do not have plan for their own future. The plan was basically based on what they can do for everyone all around them. And it's painful at times when you now start to expect that the same people that you have invested your time, your money, your skill, your energy on should not be able to be taking care of you, but they're unable to do that. Yes, you can, feel so bad. You can blame them for that, but you also have to understand they've started their own family. responsibility. And we're living in a world that the economy is not really doing very well. We have ecological disaster. Food is becoming so expensive, so scared now. It costs you so much money to do a little shopping. And I remember those days. If you go to Tesco, Sainsbury to do shopping, let's say you do shopping for £100. In fact, you will carry loads of bags that will last you for if not 2 weeks or more. But hardly can your £100 fill one bag now. You'll be wondering that what have I bought? So things have changed. And for that reason, the economic power of your children, of people that you're putting your future on, may not be that buoyant enough to include you in their own plans. Now is the time. If you're a father and a mother, you're listening to me now. Now is the time for you to be selfish. Now is the time for you to start to think of your tomorrow. You may be thinking to yourself that I'm still very young. Oh, come on, reflect. If you're in your 50s, you are no longer young. Before you know, you'll discover that you're already pensioned. But if you're not saving towards it now, people will be going all around to raise funds for you, to raise money for you, to beg on your behalf. So you see, because we put our expectation in a wrong perspective. In Psalm 62 verse 8, David encouraged his readers and he said, pour out your heart before him, for God is a refuge for us. And what do I mean by that? Or what does it mean by that? What am I trying to take out of this? Don't forget, I call it reflection time. Because the pressure in today's world is enormous. At that time, David was surrounded by enemies. Today's enemies: finance, sickness, unemployment, medical bills. Particularly if you live in a particular part of the world where you need to pay lots of money before the doctors can attend to you. Do you know how many number of people who died in hospital because they did not have money deposits to pay, and the doctors refuses to attend to them, and they died? You see some hospitals, they are so pathetic. The environment is unbelievable. The sanitary system is zero. The rate of catching infection in that kind of a place is extremely high. And that's where they take patients to go and treat them. You go with one problem, and you will leave this place with abundance of problems. More severe, more difficult than what made you to go to the hospital in the first instance. But here, the challenges that David was facing was extremely different from today's challenge. David was surrounded by household enemy, members of his family, father-in-laws, and so many. But decided to put his faith, his trust and confidence in God, and he made God to be his rescue. And this is what he said. He said, my soul wait thou only upon God, for my expectation is from him. He is only my rock and my salvation. The question tonight is, friends, where does your own expectation lie? Oh, your expectation is in the hope of that the economy will improve. There will be a lot of job in the market. Right? That's your expectation. But let me tell you again. When hope and expectation of improved economy, job is dashed, where do you turn to? What else do you do? You see, the Bible recorded that some put their trust in chariot and horses, but in the day of battlefield, that same chariot and horses disappointed them. If we are putting your trust in what the government is going to do, what your friends are going to do, what the family can do for you, it is the greatest tragedy. Because a time is going to come that everyone needs to face their own problems squarely. So this is the time for you to start to plan. To start to plan. So let me quickly look at few things I want to share with you tonight. Number one is that whatever you're going through, I want you to fix your heart on God. Only God that can make a difference in your life. But it does not matter which of the political divide you find yourself. Things are going to change any day, any time, any hour. Life changes. The economy changes. The situation changes. The condition changes. See, look, even the governments too is unstable. Everywhere in the world. It's not just in Africa alone. Everywhere in the world there are political turmoil. Who will ever predict or suggest that at a particular time that America will be having political turbulence? The same thing with the United Kingdom recently. That is the world we live in now. What about the ecological disaster? As you are having flood in some areas of the world, you are having a fire, hot humidity in some areas of the world. Bush are burning like a no man business. Flood are destroying businesses, homes, factories, in some part of the world. We shouldn't be. We shouldn't be. So that is to give you clear indication that situation change. And you need to change as well to have a better plan for your tomorrow. So the first thing I want to suggest or recommend or encourage you is that there is a need to reposition yourself. Repositioning yourself. In repositioning ourselves means you need to seek knowledge. You see, as you rightly know that this program is not just, I'm a Christian. I'm not ashamed of the gospel any day, any time I talk about my faith. But it's not just about the church thing. That's why it's something in need for you. Sometimes I talk about the Christian faith, I talk about Islam, I talk about traditional religion, I talk about political issues or the economy as well. Because these three institutions govern the world, affect every one of us, either directly or indirectly. You do not have to vote before the government policy will affect you. You do not have to belong to a political party before whatever they decide, a few people will decide what is going to affect the entire nation. So you need to have interest. You need to show concern. So knowledge is the key. And I discovered that a great number of people, they have educational qualification to their names, but they're still ignorant of things that could make a change and a difference in their life. And they're still in ignorance of certain things. See, no wonder Hosea said in 4:6 that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. He was not talking about educational qualification. He was not talking about academics. He was not talking about degrees to their names or title. You may be skillful in a particular area does not necessarily mean that you are better in other areas. No. You see, life is about learning all the time. The day you stop learning is the day you die. Because what you know is what is going to profit you. What you know is what is going to profit you. What you know is what is going to turn your life around. Now, in that coin, until you do what you know, until you act on what you know, failure is inevitable. So I'm challenging you tonight to start to reflect that little drops of water, the elders say, makes the mighty ocean. The little savings you start now, the little investment you start now. Hear me very well. I'm not saying it's not everyone that have to start business. It's not everyone that needs to start business. But you can invest. You can invest. You can look very well. What do I need to invest on? What do I need to put my money in that will yield me profit tomorrow? Buying clothes and shoes is not the way to go. It's not the way to go. Buying because you want to be like that you want to match up with everyone. It's not the way to go. Trust me, it's not the way to go. So you need to start to reflect about what your old age is going to be, because knowledge is good. Knowledge is powerful. Knowledge brings strength. It brings strength. That is provided you applied it into the right use. So that's why Proverbs chapter 24 verse 5 says, a wise man is strong. So a man of knowledge increases strength. A man of knowledge increases strength. So if you want to have a better tomorrow, then you need to look for knowledge. What kind of knowledge are we talking about? Oh, you may want to tell me that I'm too old to go for that. You're never too old to learn. Learn about how you're going to secure your tomorrow. You see, sometimes it's really shameful, particularly to those of us that live in diaspora. You live in an environment that whereby you can take up some insurance policy. They do not have to cost you arm and leg. It doesn't have to cost you arm and leg. You can take up some insurance policy. That when you die, they do not need to be carrying, they do not need to be raising funds. Begging people all around. It's even worse when you do not belong to a particular church. You do not belong to any church. You do not belong to any organization. You do not belong to any group. You've just been living your life because you're tired of what they do in the church. You are tired of the monks. You are tired of everyone, and at the end of the day, death comes. The people that you're tired of, that you do not want to be associated with, then they're the same people that are now have to be begging them to donate money for your burial. But guess what? People will donate money for your burial, but they're not going to give you money to do shopping. They're not going to give you money to, to do things that could benefit your life, that could, make you economically viable and much better. If you go to them, you want to do business, they should lend you money. You're not going to get it. And that takes me to the next advice I want to give someone today. That apart from you seeking knowledge, that knowledge will enable you to think of your retirement. That never put all your eggs in a basket thinking that your children will be your retirement. I've said that at the beginning of this message. That by the time that we get our own generation, we look after our parents, we look after our children, but the children of today, they are different generation entirely. They're the same generation that will ask you that what have you done with your money? That you have wasted all your adult years. What have you been able to do with your adult years? But they're not going to remember. You put food on the table, shelter over them. They went to school. So, you went through all those pain to give them whatever life they have. But they'll be the same people that, but what do you do with your money? What do you do with your life? So that's the more reason. I have heard this said many times. Many times. And that's why I'm telling you right now, if you see me talking about anything on this platform, on something in need for you, I want you to take it as a practical issue. Something that maybe some other people that I know that are very close to me have gone through, or from my own personal life, that try to share with you so that you do not make the same mistake. So, in making sure that your old age is secured is very essential. And your knowledge will make you to know what investment do you need to invest in. What business do you need to do? Or what share do you need to buy? Where do you need to put your money? Don't just put your money in the bank. Let me tell you this. I am not a financial expert. But common sense dictates that the money you put in the bank will be making money for other people, because the bank will lend others that money, and they will use your money to do business, and they will make profit, and the bank will make profit. Look at the interest rate they're going to give you. How much interest you're going to get on your money that will be sufficient for you when you get older. That will be sufficient to take care of you, to measure up to your present standard. That's why you see that when many people, when they're retired, their standard of living dropped. Everything went down. Because they can no longer afford that type of living. Don't eat your tomorrow now. Plan for your tomorrow so that your tomorrow will be much better. The final one I'm going to encourage you with is this. Never lend your money to people that are not that you know they are not capable of paying. Never lend them money. Take it from me. And if you really have to lend them money, make sure it's money that you can let go. Just make sure it's something that you can let go. Because by the time you lend someone money, I want you to be contented in your heart that should the person fail to pay you, what will you do? What are you going to do? So, you see, because what may likely happen is that you may lose your friendship with that person. The relationship will become, severe. If they fail to repay the money, and you too, integrity matters. The reason why you're not doing better in life was because you have no integrity. If you borrow money from people, never let them ask you before you return the money. That is integrity. Don't let them regret knowing you. Don't let them regret borrowing you money. It's not that they have the abundance of that money. They have to make sacrifice to save the money and borrow you that money, and you refuse to return it. You're taking them for granted. You're taking them for granted. And in that way also, never stand a guarantor for people that you know if they fail to pay, you cannot pay. You do not have what it takes to pay back. Never stand guarantor for people. You see, my late brother, still the guarantor for a lady. And relationship between them, went sour. So the lady decided not to pay the loan that she collected from the loan company. And my brother was the one that stood the guarantor. After several attempts to get their money back, then they used police to arrest my brother. I was just driving home one day, then my phone rang. One of my relations back home phoned me that, hey, your brother has been arrested by the police. And I said, what's my brother done? He's not a violent person. It's not, what will be the problem that the police will go to the house and arrest him? Then I quickly park, find somewhere to park on the road, and made a call back home. What happened? And that's how I got to know that he stood the guarantor for a lady, and the lady now decided not to pay the money, and he was arrested. To cut a long story short, we have to, myself and the children, have to put the money together to pay. We paid for something that we know nothing about, because he decided to become a guarantor to someone that they do not have integrity of paying back. You know how many number of people that have gotten into trouble because of that? If you live in diaspora, that may affect your credit. It affects so many things about you. And to rebuild that takes a while. See, this is what I have come to share with you tonight. It's a reflection time, something that you need to think about. But most importantly, this something in need for you today is for my generation. But if younger generation can also learn something out of it, so be it. That never use all your 10 fingers to eat. Even though the economy is so difficult, things are challenging now. We are so overwhelmed with circumstances of life and issues. But don't think that it's going to get better tomorrow. That when it gets better tomorrow, that's when you are going to start to think of your old age. Start to think of it now. Every little pen that you're able to put aside. Savings is difficult. It's a question, you have to be disciplined to be able to save. And think very well. That people that will come and borrow your savings from you, if they cannot return it, then don't borrow them. Don't borrow them. This is all I want to share with you today. until such a time I come your way again. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you. But get something clear. If you fail to plan for your tomorrow, you will regret your life. Never put all your eggs in a basket. Your children, the children of this generation, think about themselves. Our generation, we look after our parents, we look after our children, but the children today are children that only cares about themselves, about themselves, about themselves, about themselves. So now is the time that you too, you need to start to think about yourself. Otherwise, you will end up being abandoned in the home care. And all you have labored for will belong to other people. May that never be your story. I share this with you because I know, based on experience, based on the people that I know, based on conversation, based on so many things, and I feel that I should ginger you to start to think about your tomorrow. Reflection time. God bless you and enjoy the rest of your evening. My name is Dr. Tayo.